It's a new day, Noonan. Yes, it is. And I am the Noonan Time with Harold. We are from French, and we talk different. That's my amazing acting. See, I'm an actor, y'all. That means that I have spent my life playing characters that are not me. You guys know what an actor is. I don't know why I'm explaining that to you. And so I have mastered accents all over the world. I can do any voice that has ever been done. Not well, but I can do them. I can certainly try. I'm actually famously known in the improv circles as the one terrible at accents. Like, I don't want to say tone deaf, but if I hear an accent and I go through like the lessons and it's like, this is how you do it, this is how you put emphasis on this versus this, I just don't hear it. And I can't figure it out. And when I say it myself in my head, it sounds right. But then I hear it back and it's like, okay, no, that is bad. I did a bad job at that. So I typically when I am doing improv or acting, my characters pretty much sound like me. Here's a version of me that maybe moves a little bit differently. Like I'm good with physicality. But voice-wise, it's probably going to sound like me. It might sound like this, like I'm a cool guy, or it might sound like this, which means I'm an old guy. But they're all just American white guys, different versions of that. Anyways, it's great to hear from you. So wherever you are right now, go ahead and give me a squawk. Just the loudest squawk you can, I'll be able to hear you. Nice. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Good squawk. Good squawking. That's how we connect with each other here in Noonan. I am, at the moment, drinking a Pepsi Wild Cherry Zero Sugar Soda. I've cut down my soda intake significantly. I don't ever drink soda with calories or carbs, ever. I'm always on the zeros and things like that, or the diets. But, obviously, there's still things in those sodas that don't help your body. And I started noticing it. Like I've been drinking since I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which was 16 years ago. I think 16 years ago this summer, maybe 15 this summer. I've changed, I don't the smell of regular soda makes me want to die. But it's just in the last 6 months, maybe not even that, 3 or 4 months, that I've started feeling sick from drinking any kind of soda. So I've cut that down a lot. The drinking of a soda just makes me feel icky. Like it makes me feel like someone has thrown up in my mouth. And it's gone down my throat and I have swallowed somebody else's throw up. So it feels like I have throw up inside me that's not trying to leave. It's just is there. So soda feels like throw up. But I keep forgetting that it makes me feel that way. And then I go and get a soda and I start drinking it because I don't want as much caffeine as coffee has. Green tea is expensive. I do have plenty of green tea, but it's expensive. So going through it is kind of annoying. And the other people in my house buy soda. So I don't buy soda right now. But if somebody else is going to buy soda and it's here and coffee's got so much caffeine and it makes me kind of like... I'll drink a soda. So right now I'm drinking a Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry, and it's making me feel gross. I feel like someone threw up cherries inside me. What a horrible visual. Can you just imagine somebody eating cherries and be like, I'm going to vomit. Linton, come here, let me open your chest up. And then they cut open my chest, and they vomit inside my chest and then sew it back up. Anyways, that's what I'm thinking. Harold. Harold's my name. That's right. That's right. I remember. Today is a very special episode. It's kind of stuff we've talked about before, but it's been a while. And one of the things about Harold, because Harold has been around since 2020, since the COVID times. Was that 2020 or 2021? I think it's 2020. Since the COVID summer was when Harold was born. And that is what gave me the idea. It's when Nuna was going through a tough time with... COVID and Black Lives Matter protests and shut down rules and all that kind of stuff. So that's when this whole thing started. So there have been cycles where there have been lots and lots of people interested, and then it would dip a bit, then lots and lots of people interested. But right now we still average anywhere from 2 to 4 million a month interacting with the page. So I don't know if the majority of you know the background of me at Crooks Marketplace. So today's episode specifically, mainly because I drove by there recently and I was like, man, I should go inside Crooks Marketplace. And then I remembered, wait, it's a liquor store now. I don't drink a lot of liquor. Very rarely do I, like, I probably have, let's see, 3 drinks a week, maybe. And that's not liquor. That's like a beer and a wine. Like, I think this week I've had a glass of wine. I think I had a beer Monday night. So 2 drinks thus far. We are 5 days into the week. That's typically, unless me and Hanley are going to specifically go to a brewery and hang out, which we do maybe twice a month. I'm not a big drinker. I have enough health things wrong with me, the bipolar and the diabetes and all the medicines I'm on, that very rarely is alcohol worth it for me. It's like, oh, cool, I got to get buzzed a little bit, and now I can't use my medicine the right way. So it's like not really worth it. But if it's a beer that I really like, I'll drink it. Anyways, what's my point? Oh, the liquor store. I was like, oh, but it's a liquor store now, so I don't need anything. I was going to pop in there and get like a muffin or a donut or something, which also I don't need. It's not like me eating a donut is better for me than me drinking alcohol. But anyways, once I saw it was just a liquor store, I was like, never mind. I forgot it was a liquor store. But I worked, Crooks Marketplace was my very first job. And I know that is true for a lot of people who grew up in Sonoy, who were alive in the last 200-300 years. Crooks Marketplace was their first job too. So I know I'm not the only one. It was the first job for my big brother. It was the first job for my other big brother. My little brother never worked there. My adopted brother never worked there. And my stepbrother never worked there. But my 2 older brothers worked there. So it was only sensible that I would also work there. And I did. I got a job there. About 2 years. I was there, and there are wild stories, wild things happen there, and we'll get into some of them. But at its core, it was a great first job. It was it did a great job of management, being involved, allowing for freedom for me to make my own mistakes and learn how working works. Respect to my schedule and the things I needed, and also like responsibility. And those are hard to find. It is hard to find a place to work, because I have worked at a lot of places for like days or weeks before being like, no, this isn't for me. I have always had a hard time with authority, to the point of, if I feel like the authority is not respectful, I'm going to get out of there. I'm not going to stay. I worked at TGI Fridays when we had a TGI Fridays over by Ashley Park for 2 days. Because one time I came there and I got there early for orientation, and the front door was locked and the back door was locked. And I texted somebody there to let me in, and the person I texted wasn't working a shift that day. So I had literally no way to let them know I was there at the building. Then when they did open the back door and came in, and I came and sat down, the manager came to do a little bit of orientation, and he started it off by being mad at me for being late. And when I was like, well, actually, he stopped me and said, no, I don't want to hear excuses. This is a terrible first look. And I was like, okay, well, you suck, dude, because I was here, and that ain't how you talk to people. I don't care if I'm younger than you and I don't make as much money as you. You need to talk to people better than that. So I quit after 2 days. And then I ended up at Aces and Eights Poker, because there used to be Aces and Eights Poker, and I would go and I would play all over Coweta County. I ended up playing him and made it to the final 3 with him and one other person. This was after I quit, so he wanted to beat me, and he beat me, and it was really embarrassing. I was like, well, shit, he got the last laugh. Anyways, Crooks Marketplace was a very good job for me from 15 to 17, and it's not like that's all they hired. They didn't just hire a young little boys, young little boys. That is a weird thing for me to have said. They didn't just hire guys like me. They hired all ages, all different departments, all genders, all different departments. So it was a nice mix. So I was able, because I was going into Crooks Marketplace. Let's paint the picture. Little 15-year-old. My only communication with people, friends, adults, came from Southern Baptist Church because I was homeschooled, right? This was my first job. All of our friends were from church. All of our friends are from the homeschool group. We didn't hang out with other people. My parents were very involved in the church. So my interaction, this was my first interaction with the real world, with people who didn't grow up in a religious upbringing. This was like, I was just put there at 15 years old to 17. And it was, Harold, go learn how to work. Go learn how to be around people. Go learn how other people think. Like, I remember my first time there, there was the guy who trained me. His name was Aaron, and he didn't go to church, and he was like, to me, a bad boy, like rebellious. Like, he liked to drink, and he was having sex with people, and he was like going through telling me, hey, here are the rules you can break that they don't care about while you're here. Here are the rules that matter. These are the managers that will let you get away more. These were the ones that won't. Like, in my first day there, I got more real world knowledge than probably the first 15 years of my life. Because again, everything that I knew was church and homeschool groups. I got a little bit of information from my older brothers, but that's passing older brother info. It wasn't like a friend who was there that wanted to bring me into his world of debauchery. So anyways, we're jumping all over the place, which is typically what I do. I'm not great at doing the podcast. I'm not great at interviewing people, but I do try. I try to give you something to listen to, and giving you this little piece of history and a little highlight of Sonoy, I think, is something that you might enjoy. So let's talk about it. It was very easy to get this job. My brothers had both worked there. They both did a good job. They were both respected. So when it came time for me to turn 15 and get a job, it was I didn't have to do anything. It was, hey, I want to work there. Okay, come work there. You're 15. That's old enough. At that point, come get trained. At that point, none of my older brothers worked there anymore. They had both outgrown it and moved on to other things. All of the brothers are 2 years apart. So at this point, I was 15. Then my oldest was 19. The one in between, 17. And my little brother was 13. That's how it has always worked. Well, obviously, after we're born, it's all going to work like that the whole time. So it was very, very easy to get this job. At this point, the main store manager was Deborah Calhoun. I don't know if anybody remembered Deborah Calhoun from Sonoy. Ellis Crook was there all the time. And then Greg Crook, the son of Ellis, sort of came around, and he was kind of the manager of, because I believe Crooks was the grocery store, Crooks was the gas station, and Crooks was a tire shop up the road. And all of it was Crooks Hit and Run, Crooks Marketplace. I don't remember the tire shop, and I might not be totally, but I'm almost positive there's a tire shop that they also own, maybe an automobile store. There's all part of this. So Greg kind of oversaw that. I saw him the least amount, and he also was the least friendly. He just was very serious, a very typical man who walked around dressing nice. Like, I'm not saying he was, but he looked like he could be a serial killer. Like, he presented himself with them serial killer vibes. And he obviously wasn't. Again, don't take this out of context. I am not saying Greg Crook is a serial killer. But when you watch movies about people who present one way and then it turns out that they were serial killers, he had that vibe. I'm getting a call right now from Porch Fest. I wonder what that's about. I should answer that. I'll do that in a little bit. I need to call them back, or maybe they'll leave a voicemail. If Porch Fest leaves a voicemail, we'll play it on here and you guys will be able to listen to it. Anyways, what was my point? Greg, I had very, very few interactions with him. For the most part, he was just very show up. Hey, here's what you need to do. This is what we want you to do. This is how you need to do this right. Then he's out of there. But there was one situation. I had been at Crooks for about a year at this point. And one night when we were closing, we closed at 9. I think my shifts were 4 to 9. I think they maybe closed at 8, but I was there till 9 because you have to do all the closing things. So we're doing the closing tasks. And during that, the ice cream cooler breaks in the main part of Crooks Marketplace, right? And so it was, hey, we have to take all the ice cream out of the shelves. We have to put it on a little buggy with wheels, and we have to put it back in one of the freezers. That is the instructions that I was given. And at this point, it was just me, so I was the one who had to do all this, which, okay. It meant I didn't have to do the other stuff, the typical sweeping and mopping and all the typical things that I would do. So it was cool to have something different, to just stand there and go through the ice cream and do that. So I was going to do that, and that was fine. So I did it, and I took them all, and I put them on the cart, and I pushed it back there, and I went to the freezer. Now, the freezer at Crooks Marketplace, I doubt it's still like this, but it was small. It was surprisingly small for how big the store was. Like, we're talking the size of like 4 closets put together. It was little bitty, itty bitty freezer. And I've worked in a lot of places with a lot of freezers. This was the smallest. Like, they have the cooler for the milk, the eggs, the fresh stuff. Big. Freezer, half the size. I couldn't fit the cart in there with all the ice cream that had to go in there. I tried, and I was like, no, this thing is just not working. So instead of going to my manager, Deborah, she was there that night, or going to another employee and being like, hey, I can't get this to fit. Can you help me? My brain thought, hey, I'll just put it in the cooler. It's the same. It'll keep it cold. It's ice cream. But that's not true. Coolers do not keep things as cold as freezers do. But in that moment, my brain just lapsed. I just didn't think about it. It was, I'm going to do it because that will do something and that'll be right. So I go and I move it to the cooler. I finish my nightly stuff. I'm all done. I'm ready to go home. Nobody checks in on it. Nobody finds out if I did the right thing. Everybody leaves. They just trusted me. The next day, I get to work. I think it was at 12 o'clock. I think that was a 12 to 7 shift that day. And I get there. And always everybody giving me looks. Everybody's mad. This is before there were cell phones. Nobody could text me and be like, oh, you in trouble, Harold. So I get there and I'm called up to the office. There's a little upstairs you have to go into. And Deborah sits me down. She goes, well, firstly, you made me look stupid. And I'm like, what did I do? I'm a perfect boy. And she points out that I put the ice cream in the cooler instead of the freezer. And it all melted. And it's all going to have to get thrown away. And she got in trouble for it because she should have double checked it, which is true. She should have. She was the grown up. I got in trouble for it. I got my first and only official write-up while working at Crooks Marketplace. I had to go to the ice cream, take a box cutter and cut off every single barcode off every single carton of ice cream so they could try to send it in to get refunds for it. And then Greg finds me, brings me to a corner. It was over by the beer. I remember exactly where it was. It was between the two shelves of white wine and red wine, and told me how stupid I was. He said, what you did was stupid. You were stupid last night. And I need you to do better. I appreciated I need you to do better. I appreciated the honesty, but I didn't like being told I was stupid. And at that point, because of the way my brain works, I was like, whoa, the management has taken me, this poor little 16-and-a-half-year-old, and told me I was stupid. Even if what I did was stupid, I'm going to look for another job. So that won the longest interaction I ever had with Greg. Even though he was right, it set me up to start looking for another job. And I did. I looked for another job, and I found another job at Wings and Things in Summer Grove. That would be my second job. And I would leave Crooks to get a job at Summer Grove, which was a job that I lasted at until that manager made me feel stupid for a thing that actually wasn't stupid. It was not stupid, and I didn't do it, and it was annoying. So, but I stayed at that one for like 2.5 years. So definitely better, definitely better. So that was my biggest interaction with Greg. I interacted with Ellis a lot. Ellis was a major part of everyday life because he wanted to be hands-on. He wanted to train. He wanted to teach. He's just as a very, very unique personality in the work environment. Outside the work environment, sweet old man, very, very kind, very, engaging. But when he's at work, it's work. And you're going to learn and you're going to learn. And he wants to tell you one time the thing. And then if he tells you one time, you better remember it, which is fine in theory. But when Ellis Crook talks 200 words per second in his grumbly voice, it was very, very difficult. And he was not accepting of the fact that maybe he wasn't the easiest to understand. And again, this was like 17, 18 years ago. Maybe he was the problem when it came to communication, So maybe he needed to slow down a bit and talk to, I don't know what he sounds like now. Maybe he's slowed down in his older age and is way easier. But it was very hard to just keep up with conversations with Ellis. It wasn't that he was doing anything wrong. It wasn't that he was mean or anything. It was that he was communicating in a way that had got him as successful as it got him. So, of course, he's going to keep communicating that way. But for me, this new person trying to learning brand new things of how things work, learning brand new devices, I needed communication a little bit better. So it's not at all an example of a bad boss or a bad mentor. It's just a personality that was hard to learn from. It would be like me trying to teach a class on meditation. I'd have the right intentions, but do I know how to calm down and chill and be zenned out? Zenned out with your finned out? No, I don't. Maybe that's a terrible example, actually. It'd be like a baby. It'd be like a baby trying to teach a class on. No, he's not like a baby. I don't even think you need an example. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like a dog trying to teach a class on swimming. You can see that he's doing it. You're like, okay, I see this dog swimming. But when he tries to explain it to you, it's like, so you can try to copy what you see, and you see that they do a great job. They're natural, but it's hard to do. It's hard to swim like a dog swim. Yeah, hard to swim like a dog swim. Anyways, so that was my biggest relationship with Mr. Ellis Crook. But again, I enjoyed how much they let us learn and how there were some things you couldn't do. You couldn't go to the meat department where all the big old blades were. I think you had to be at least 18. If you were up front, you couldn't scan alcohol, cigarettes, stuff like that. They kept us out of those areas. But the beer, there's specific rules for doing the beer. What we would do is we would go over there, typically 2 employees at a time because it's heavy and there's a lot. You'd go, you'd take a little piece of paper, you'd write down how many of each thing needs filled. You'd go back into the back. A manager would have to come with you because you can't handle the beer and restock it without a manager being there. So a manager would just kind of stand there while we would load up, find as much as we have and put it on the carts and then take it back out there. But they, you got to do it. And there were definitely times when, managers had to step away and you were trusted to put beer on the thing for 5 seconds without a manager seeing you do it. So it was cool to learn. And me doing all this was, again, during a time where I was learning and growing. I was getting interested in what it meant to party and things like that. And then being around the alcohol and having people that I worked with that would talk about, yeah, this beer does this and this beer is good for this. And sometimes the beer would break and you'd smell a beer. And at this point in my life, I didn't really smell beer. So I knew what beer smelled like. My parents didn't drink. So I was just getting introduced to a life of I was going to say debauchery, but it was really just being normal. These are things normal people experience in their life. And I was starting to get to experience it on my own as well. So that was all interesting. This was also during a time where big not spy movies, but heist movies were coming out. Like Ocean's 11 had come out. There were a couple of other ones in that vein about heist. And they came out at a time when I was working here. And I got kind of obsessed with heist movies. It was, hey, I want to do heist. Now, of course, that doesn't mean I wanted to steal like money. I wasn't thinking, how can I rob Crooks Marketplace and make him go broke? It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't anything. But the idea of coming up with this plan and then executing the plan and the thrill of while you do it. Like, I watched those heist movies and I was absolutely influenced by them. I wanted to do heist. So towards my last like 2 months of working at Crooks Marketplace, me and another employee that worked there, we came up with a heist to steal a 12-pack of Mountain Dew. And we didn't want to just be like, hey, we'll just take it and put it in our car. Hey, we'll take it and act like, we didn't notice it's on the bottom of the cart. We wanted to heist it. We wanted to do like a whole thing. Sorry, one of my kittens is crying. We have these new kittens and all they do is they're so noisy. But you can adopt them soon. They're still babies. But I wanted to do a heist of a 12-pack of Mountain Dew. So we wrote down layouts of Crooks Marketplace, and we wrote down... I'm admitting to a crime here that I did when I was 16. So if I need to be arrested for this, I will turn myself in and I will pay the penalties. Oh my gosh, the noise. I will pay the penalties to the Sonoya PD for this. So we made these layouts, and what we were going to do is there are these rolly trash cans in the back of Crooks Marketplace, and so we pretended like we were stocking the soda from the back room, and then one of us, when we weren't looking, bumped the cart into the 12-packs and made the 12-pack fall into the trash can, where we act like we didn't notice because there may have been a camera or someone might have been watching. Then at the end of the night, we would take that trash can out and put it in the dumpster. But that bag, we didn't put in the dumpster. We put next to the dumpster. Then when the night was over, we drove around the back and got into that trash bag. Acted like we had left something back there that we needed to get. It was like, oh, I got to swing back around the back because I think I dropped something, like my mints. I don't remember, Tic Tacs or something. And then we'd go and I'd get the 12-pack of Mountain Dews and I put it in my car and I drove off with it. And I did it. At that point, soda was like $3 for a 12-pack. So, I heisted that Mountain Dew, and it's one of the proudest moments that I regret terribly. So if I need to turn myself in, I will. Otherwise, there are millions of stories that happen at Crooks Marketplace. Little funny things, little disgusting things. One time, somebody pooped in the store. Somebody, I don't know if it was it wasn't a kid, it was a grown-up. For some reason, a grown-up pooped in the store, and they asked me to clean it up, and they're like, no, you need to get a mop and stuff and clean it up, and I just did not do it. I said, I am not doing that. Somebody else can do that. You can fire me for it, but I'm not doing it. They did not fire me for it, and they did not make me do it. One of the adults went and took care of it, but I was like, I am not, as a 16-year-old, gonna go clean up grown-up poop with a mop. Not gonna happen. So I stood up for myself. I have always been good about standing up for myself. It's one of the great traits about me, which out of like the three, it's up there. There's that I can kick a soccer ball across a field, and there's I never lie. Those are the three traits about me that are very, very excellent. We're already coming up to the end of this episode. It's about 30 minutes. We're hitting that 30-minute mark, which means I'm going to stop here. These are the main moments of my time at Crooks Marketplace. Again, besides Greg calling me stupid, besides Ellis being hard to understand, couldn't have been happier with my experience there. It taught me what kids my age were like outside of me. It taught me what public school kids were like. It taught me what kids like that weren't in a religious household. I learned about what drugs were. I learned about what alcohol smelled like. And I made money, and I made money in a way where I actually was challenged to work hard, learn new things, apply it, be trusted, make mistakes, be called out on those mistakes. And I remember getting my first paycheck, and I remember going and spending it on pro wrestling DVDs, and that excitement. Nothing beat that when you first get a paycheck. I learned how taxes work. I didn't know how taxes work, and I learned how taxes work at Crooks Marketplace. So if you're going to have a first job, if your teenager needs a first job, I think they should work at Crooks Marketplace, but not the liquor store, because teenagers can't work at liquor stores. So actually, sorry, your teenager can't work at Crooks Marketplace. They can work at the gas station, maybe. You might have to be 18 or 21 to work at a gas station too. They can work at McDonald's. And by working at McDonald's, maybe they'll find their own Ellis crook. Maybe they'll find a lord of French fries who will mumble and jumble words at them with the best of salty intentions. Maybe they'll put the ice cream, instead of in the McDonald's machine, in a cooler, and it'll melt. And they'll be called stupid. But the one thing I can guarantee is that if you get your kid out there working, they might grow up like me. And is there anything better than that? I love you guys. I live. I die.